Hello and happy Sunday. This is Kelly with IfYouHaveAnEgg.com, and we are up close and personal today. It's been a minute since we have done a Facebook Live this way. We are here at the loft. Some of you all will recognize the Christmas things that we have up top. That's the only decorating that I've done so far this year. But hello everyone. I'm going to try and get caught up with you here. So since we are live here in the loft, I did have to go ahead and use my phone. We are also recording on the Mevo. If you see me glancing up, it's because I'm trying to record while we are streaming this live, just to make sure that that Casey can get everything for you all when it is time to repost this on YouTube. And let me see if I can get caught up here with you all. Whoa, so loud again. Okay, hold on just a second. Let me turn this down so that I can see everybody. Hello, Barbara. It's good to see you. So hopefully I'll be able to see comments. Oh, come on. Hopefully I'll be able to see comments in both places. But hello, Barbara. Hello, Hattie. Hello, Melinda. And hello, Anita. Good to see you. Hello, Carol Lou and Marlene. And let's see, who else have we got here? Hello, Sandra from Demon's Ferry. So are y'all already decorating? Are you decorating for the holidays yet? Hello, Linda from Rock Island, Illinois. If you're brand new, we are live here from my loft, from mine and John's loft. Hello, Mary Ann from Pennsylvania. Hello, Elaine. Did I miss anybody? Hello, Mary from Pittsburgh. Y'all are coming up on both of them, so it's hard to keep up for a second. Let's see. I said hello to Elaine and Mary and Patty. Hello. Okay, nope, Barbara hasn't started decorating yet. Okay, so we are recording in two places. So we are doing live from my phone, old school, just like we used to. And hello, Sherry. And hello, Sandra from Naperville, Illinois. And hello, Sandra's Christmas went up yesterday. And hello, Julie. I will also be looking up because I am also recording on the Mevo camera like we do every week. But the Mevo does not like the Wi-Fi here in the loft. So we live in a very old building and the walls are really thick and brick, and the Mevo does not like it. So we'll be doing live from my phone, and we will be checking in up here on the Mevo. So if you're watching later on YouTube, it's just youtube.com, and then search the @ symbol, and If You Have an Egg, and you should be able to pull up my channel. This is the 297th chat that we will be posting over there, and so that means we've got way more than 297 other videos. But let me go back and see who I missed, because I saw some other people pop up. Hello, Pat. Hello, Irma. And yes, it has been a while. Hello, Anna. Hello, Trish. Good to see you. Hello, Marlene from Florida. Hello, Alicia. Oh, Patty's all decorated. And hello, Karen. And hello, Lisa from Arkansas. Oh, and it was Sandra's anniversary yesterday. Happy anniversary, Sandra. That is so good to hear. And Trisha's got her decorating out. Hello, Kathy. Also, if you are brand new, please give us a shout out. We would love to welcome you, especially when we are this close. So when we are up this close and personal, we would all love to say hi and hello. And again, if you're watching later on YouTube, also give us a shout out. I would love to say hello to you too. Let's see, a little bit of news for today. This is the last Sunday that we will be together in November. It will be December the next time that we get together. So yeah, Thanksgiving is already done. U.S. Thanksgiving is done. The next holiday for me is Christmas. So for us, it is Thanksgiving, and then we have Christmas. Let's see, Christmas, Casey's birthday, Alyssa's birthday, New Year's Eve, Casey and Ellen's anniversary, and then New Year's Day. So those are all of the holidays that we've got coming up. What are you all getting ready to have a challenge with? So I know a lot of you celebrate a lot of different holidays, and especially those of you in other countries. I would love to hear what you've got, coming up, and what challenges you have coming up. And Carol Lou is done with her decorating, but no tree this year. I'm actually using our Christmas ladder. So those of you who have been here for a while, you know that we decorate a ladder, and an old rickety ladder, instead of a tree, because we live in a loft and there's not a lot of room to put a tree up. So yeah, you are actually on the Christmas tree ladder, which we will be decorating not too long after this chat. But again, hello and happy Sunday, everybody. John has gone out to eat with a friend. He'll be sneaking back in here in just a little bit. Welcome everyone. If you are watching this later on YouTube, please also say hello. It's just youtube.com, search @ If You Have an Egg. I do want to give you the last bit of news for November, and this is not so much news as it is a warning. So in the second half of tonight's chat, hello, Lynn. In the second half of tonight's chat, we are going to be talking about my injury, the injury to my finger, and also we're going to be talking about some kitchen safety. And we are going to, it's going to get a tiny bit graphic. Hello, Evie. not a lot. Like, I'm not showing you any pictures or anything, but if you are easily made queasy or upset by the mention of bodily injuries and specific details, but again, I promise no pictures. So if you're easily upset by that or made queasy by that, you may want to excuse yourself for the first 5 to 10 minutes of the second half only. The first half is totally PG-13 or PG whatever, I promise. But in the second half, I will give you a warning before we get ready to get started on that. And you just might want to excuse yourself for maybe like the first 5 or 10 minutes. Hello, Kathy, and it's good to see you. For maybe the first 5 or 10 minutes. And then I promise I will give you a 2 thumbs ups. So when it is safe to come back in, when it's safe for those of you who get queasy to come back in, I will give you two thumbs up so that you all know that it is okay to come back. And then after that, after the 2 thumbs up sign, I promise I will not be discussing in specifics anything upsetting again. And hello, Kathy. Aloha, Kathy. So that's in the second half. So when you see the apron go on, again, I'm at home. We're not making any food tonight. But although I have, let me see if I can go the right direction. Although I do have some taco soup going in my can cooker. So I technically have food going, just not to do for the live chat tonight. But I promise when it's time for me to talk about in graphic detail about just some kitchen injuries, I will warn you. I'll put the apron on and then I'll warn you. And then when it's time for you all to come back, I'll give you 2 thumbs ups and you can come back. Okay, so today is Sunday, November the 27th. This is chat number 297 and it is titled Take Charge of Unhelpful Thoughts. And right here at the holidays, wow, what a time for us to try to take charge of unhelpful thoughts. So I know, there's a lot of things I can be thinking about between now, Christmas, all the holidays that we've got coming up, all the celebrations we have coming up. But last week, we were talking about what to do while we were eating out. So last week was Thanksgiving. And I want to know, you get extra virtual Bravo stickers for this. Who the week of Thanksgiving sat their bottom in a little chair? So I already see some thumbs ups. So my gosh, awesome guys. So awesome. Thumbs ups if you sat your bottom in a chair the week of Thanksgiving. Thumbs ups, I can't believe this. Or if you went to a Zoom meeting the week of Thanksgiving. Let me see some thumbs ups. And yeah, Linda's bottom was in a green chair again, Thanksgiving week. That is awesome, Linda. Okay, and some hearts if you were here with us live last week or if you watched later on demand. Lynn was, Mary, oh my gosh, congratulations, guys. I don't know if you know what an accomplishment this is to do this the week of Thanksgiving. You all attended the week of Thanksgiving and you were here and you're here the Sunday after Thanksgiving. Awesome. So Bravo stickers all the way around. So everybody who was with it last week, and especially those of you who are showing up this week, awesome guys. Extra Bravo stickers all the way around for in-person bottoms in chairs, and for virtual visits, virtual Zoom meetings, and for being here with us last week and this week. Y'all are rocking it. So extra virtual Bravo stickers all the way around. So last week though, we were talking about staying on track while eating out, and eating out doesn't have to mean going to a restaurant. It's just anywhere that you're eating that you're not at home. So that's considered eating out. So a quick review of last week, we were talking about if you like scenario 1, if you knew what was on the menu or if you could find out what was on the menu, maybe it might be a good idea to pre-track, so that if you can get a hold of the menu and you can know, kind of get an idea what's going to be served, you could go ahead and pre-track that. And you could save up some weeklies or use some rollover points if you had those throughout the week or can plan for that. Or you could eat a low or 0 point meal or snack ahead of time so you don't go to the event hungry. That is exactly what we did on Thursday. We only provided 2 of the things for our Thanksgiving meal on Thursday, but I ate a very low point, like late breakfast, early lunch, wasn't really a brunch, whatever. And then we had to taste test a couple of the hard-boiled eggs that we took. Or deviled eggs, we had to take one for the team and do that. So that's what we did in scenario 1, because we pretty much knew what was going to be on the menu. We had been given that, up ahead of time. So we knew that. Scenario 2 was if you were going in blind. So if you had no idea what was going to be on the menu, maybe you could go up and check out what was being served, like go up and look around. Usually holidays are, a buffet or, food's more set out. I don't know a lot of you all that are eating a traditional, what I would consider to be an old traditional meal where the food is just brought out, and then passed around. But if you could get a peek of what was on there before to kind of fill your plate up with some 0 or lower point foods, or, you know, try to avoid descriptions like creamy, buttery, smothered. Instead, look for things that are grilled, broiled. If you're eating out, maybe it might say, you know, lighter fare or something like that. Or see if you can get your hands on a smaller plate. A smaller plate always makes it look like you have more food, so I always think that's a great idea. Or scenario 3, curveballs. If you were just given curveballs and how you could dodge them. So everybody has that well-meaning aunt. Hello, Mindy. Oh, Mindy. Everybody, please just go ahead and give Mindy a virtual hug. Her daughter is still so sick. So I hope that you all will give her a little virtual hug. And if you're a prayer, I hope that you would go ahead and lift her up in prayer, because it has been a rough, what is it now? A couple of months, Mindy, that y'all been dealing with this. But in scenario 3, you were given dodgeballs, and a couple of ways to avoid them. You know, that well-meaning aunt, you know, the person that wants to make sure that you're fed, you know, so ways to avoid her were making sure that you have a drink or an empty plate. Hello, Loretta. Maybe an empty plate, something, and you can put a napkin over the top of it, you know, to make it look like you've had some food. Or if you have a buddy that likes to party, that's like, come on, it's just a party. You know, come on. You know, it's just a party. Just maybe, if they're that close of a friend, maybe take them to the side ahead of the event and say, look, this is what I'm trying to do, and I really, really need your support. And then I had the I love you with food friend for years and years and years, and finally figured out the only way to distract her was to give her a recipe and say, oh my gosh, will you make this for us? I would love to try this, you know, and it really did work. So your homework for last week, though, because there are so many foods that are back on the 0 points list, you no longer have to choose. So if you haven't let your app update, or if you haven't been paying attention, or if you're brand new, you don't have to select your own 0 point foods now. And your 0 point food list is the same as my 0 point food list, and it's the same as hers and his and theirs and all of theirs. So you don't have to eat different foods than your partner, than your spouse, than your kids, whoever you're doing Weight Watchers with. You don't have to have a separate, you don't have to have a separate menu from them. So everything is back on the menu again. I did have a couple of people fuss at me this week for saying hashtag back on the menu, and they were like, everything's on the menu. Nothing was ever not on the menu. Well, while that is exactly true, some of us did not have, the same menu as, again, our spouse, our partner, whatever. So literally everything now is back on the menu. So your homework for last week was hashtag back on the menu. And this last week, I wanted you to tell us something that was back on the menu for you with this new Weight Watchers program. For me, it was fish. I've really enjoyed those tuna packs. I've been putting them on bagged salads and things like that. I had taken fish off of my 0 point list because I didn't eat it every day. So I have enjoyed having that back. But I wanted y'all to tell us how you did with your homework. So let's see how you did. And if you hear some crying, John has just walked back in, and Dusty acts like he's never seen him. He's been with him all day long, literally all day long. And you know how dogs are. He's acting like he has not seen him, in a year. Okay, so let's see how y'all did with your homework. Ramona is loving sharing recipes again. So she is loving being back on this Weight Watchers program where she can share recipes again, and she is adding back beans, peas, corns, and lentils. Corn and lentils, and she's loving adding those back to her menu. Deborah has got popcorn back on the menu, and she even kicked it up a notch by adding shredded Velveeta and microwaving it for about 20 seconds, and that only made it 2 points. I'm telling you what, cheesy popcorn, sign me up. That sounds fantastic. And then Anita is taking back her health and is happy to have beans, potatoes, popcorn back on her menu. So this new program has been critical to Anita being able to take back her health. Wow, the story was long about what all's been going on with her, but it was a great one. If you all have a chance to go back and read that over on If You Have an Egg on the Facebook group. So bravo to everyone who did your homework, especially the week of Thanksgiving. Good job, everybody. Here are your extra bravo stickers for getting your homework done. Good job. Y'all know I love it when you do your homework. So yay, good for you. This week, though, we are talking about taking charge of unhelpful thoughts. And you did it. You survived another turkey day. So you're here. You survived it. So with this one holiday checked off of your to-do or maybe your to-don't list, How are you feeling about how you handled it? So are you feeling good about it? Or are you wishing you'd done something different? But while you're thinking about how you did with this holiday, taking charge of some potential unhelpful thoughts can keep you on track and in charge for the rest of this holiday season. So a couple of pieces of advice. As you're thinking about these holidays, because I know it's really easy to think, oh, I blew it, I overate, or that wasn't what I was planning on doing, or I really wish I had done, something differently. So it's easy to have an unhelpful thought. We're going to spend the next few minutes talking about ways to okay. Sorry, John's trying to be quiet, which is actually distracting me more than him just walking in. And doing whatever he needs to do. But we're going to spend this next few minutes talking about unhelpful thoughts and talking about ways to kind of take control of them. So one thing that you can do if you're having some unhelpful thoughts, or if you're trying to avoid having the unhelpful thoughts, is even if you go over your dailies and dip into some weeklies, or all the weeklies in my case, I've used up all of my weeklies plus some. Planning for that special meal and then writing it down, can help you feel victorious instead of the normal holiday guilt. So even though I knew that I was going to use all of my weeklies, I was going to use all my dailies for sure, and I was going to use most of, if not all, of my weeklies, I went ahead and wrote it down. So I just did a quick add, and it helped a lot because I knew what I was doing going into it. And so I could just be slow. I could be intentional about it. I didn't feel like I had to take a plate over and hide, and eat anything. I could eat everything with witnesses. It was really, really nice. So that's one way, is to go ahead, no matter what it's going to be. So even if you don't put down how many points it's going to be, just putting down, Thanksgiving, or whatever, just call it something, plan it and track it somehow. And Mary ate what she wanted, but she didn't overeat. Me too. I mean, it was a lot of points, but I ate what I wanted. And if it was really, really good, like my sister's broccoli casserole is top 5 favorite things on the planet. So I chose to go back and have a second, helping of that. But because I had pre-tracked and gone over everything, I could do it and not feel guilty about it. Let's see, Julie pre-tracked her Thanksgiving dinner too. So that's an awesome plan. So now no unhelpful thoughts because I already knew what I was doing going in. And so did Julie, and so did Mary. Christmas to Thanksgiving. So as my fearless leader of more than 25 years likes to remind us, it's not what you eat from Thanksgiving to Christmas that got us here. It's what we eat those other 10 months from Christmas to Thanksgiving. So think about that just a second. So, Thanksgiving to Christmas is not that much time. It's a month, basically. This year it's 29 days. It's not quite exactly a month. But it's what we eat Christmas to the next Thanksgiving. So that's 10 more months, 11 more months. It's what we eat there to there. That's what we have to remind ourselves about. So you have to remind yourself, though, this is a season. So, if you go overboard Thanksgiving to Christmas, it's just 4 weeks. It's just one season, it's just one season. It's one period of time. You don't have to go crazy and have, unhelpful thoughts about that. You can take control of it. So remind yourself it's a season, and this too shall pass. So this season too shall pass. Okay. And the last thing, this is going to be a little participation project. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to say, Marianne took a spoonful of everything. That way she could try it and then figure out what she wanted. That is an awesome plan. And Anita pre-tracked and only used 25 points for the whole turkey day. She enjoyed every little bite of it. That is fantastic. Okay, so this next one is participation. It's you're going to get a participation grade for this. No. Okay. And now that Daddy's home, Dusty's going to be wandering around and getting into trouble. So I may have to split for just a second to go put him up. He may be okay. Okay, so the last one is, just because it's a thought doesn't mean it's true. So just because a thought enters your head does not mean that it's true. There are lots of things that I think, that I just think of. I have lots of thoughts, and there are a lot of times that those thoughts, they're like, I'm true. It doesn't have to be just weight loss related, but it just, kind of eats at you a little bit. So another great visual that we had during our in-person workshop this week that I want you to try with me, is I want you to imagine that we have what seems like an insurmountable issue staring us right in the face. So it does not have to be weight related, but I want you to imagine that we and the issue is so big that we can't possibly, it's just honest. It's just all over us. And I'm going to make it, for this example, I'm going to make it a non-weight related issue, just so that we can, keep it not about weight. So I'm going to say, here's my little story. Here's my little scenario. I'm going to say that we're in charge. It's another holiday event. It's a party. It's a get together. It's a gathering that you're going to at somebody else's house. So it's not at your house, so you have less control over it. And I'm going to say that we're in charge of a broccoli salad for the holiday meal. So the host or hostess of this event has asked us personally to bring our fantastic broccoli salad that people have enjoyed so many times before, and they love it so much that they have asked us to bring it again this year. But we kind of waited till the last minute, had a lot of work, had a lot of things to do, waited a little bit too long, and when we got to the grocery store, looked around, and there's no fresh broccoli, like none. There is no fresh broccoli in sight. There's not any heads of fresh broccoli. There's not, is that what that would be called? What would a clump, what would a whole thing of broccoli be called? It's not that's a floret. What's the whole thing called? A head? Anyway, so there's none of that. There's no chopped up fresh broccoli in a bag. There's just none. There's none over in a veggie tray. There's just all the fresh broccoli it's just completely sold out. Okay, so imagine that we're in that scenario. So we've been asked to bring the broccoli salad. Everybody loves it. Everybody, they look forward to it every year. We've been asked to bring it, and we waited a little bit too long, and we, and there's not any fresh broccoli. So now I want you to so I'm serious. I want y'all to do this, okay? I want you to put your hands in front of your face, and I want you to imagine yourself standing helpless in the produce aisle, realizing that you are a failure because you waited too long and all of the fresh broccoli is sold out. This holiday meal is ruined because of you, okay? So has everybody got their hands in front of their face? I want y'all to do it. I'm serious. I want you to do it. Put your hands in front of your face and just realize you have let this entire party down. So the whole holiday meal is ruined. You waited too long and you've ruined it. So this thought in your head right now is that you've waited too long, you've let everybody down, and the meal is ruined, okay? But now, pull your hands out just a little bit. So pull them away from your face. At first you were like this, when you were feeling like the meal was ruined and you've ruined everything, you've let the host or hostess down. Now pull your hands out just a little bit so that you can see something beside your hands. So the not being able to find broccoli, it was so close. If you had your hands as close to your face as I wanted you to have them, then all you should be able to see is your hands. But if you pull them out a little bit, you pull them away from your face a little bit and kind of look around them, you can kind of see around them now, okay? So once you can see around them, you can say out loud, wait a minute, this meal isn't ruined. Other people are bringing lots of delicious food, right? So it wasn't just you. You weren't the only person bringing food. Now pull your hands out just a little bit more. So pull them out just a little bit more from your face. And then look around some more. Remember, you're at the grocery store. You're not in my kitchen. So look around a little bit more. Now all of a sudden you can see everything out here. So when the issue is right here in your face, you kind of believe, I've ruined it. I've messed it up. I've ruined everything because it's right here in your face. And when you pull it out a little bit, you can see some other options. But when you pull it out to here, you can look around and see, oh, wait, there's shredded broccoli slaw over there. Look over there in the prepared salad area. There's fresh broccoli slaw. That would be good also. That would be really good. Wait, there's cauliflower. You could use cauliflower florets instead of broccoli. That might be a nice little change to have, cauliflower instead of broccoli. Or you could change it up a little bit and use something like Napa cabbage. Napa cabbage makes a great slaw in case you haven't ever tried that. Loretta said when she pulled her hands out, she thought, I'll go to another store. See, when you pull your hands away from your face, when you get them farther away from your face, up here, you can't see another store. Up here, you can't see Napa cabbage. Up here, you can't see a bag of broccoli slaw. But out here, you can see all of that. Barbara says frozen broccoli. Perfect. Sandra says bring another type of salad. Honestly, when you get to the party is about the people. No one is going to be micro obsessing over the fact that you didn't bring the original recipe. Maybe they like the new recipe even better. Carol Lou says she would use Brussels sprouts. That's a fantastic idea. So see, it's not a disaster. Just because it's a thought does not mean that it does not mean that it's the truth, okay? So the thought was, I've ruined the party, I've let everybody down, nobody's ever going to ask me to come back again, la 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 la. And now that we pulled it out to here, we've got at least 5 different scenarios of things that we could do. And we have most certainly not ruined the party. So your homework for this week is #JustAThought, #JustATHOUGHT. So it's just a thought. I want you to think this week of either a common holiday issue that you have, that you've told yourself over the years, oh, hold on a second. Anita says she has used broccoli Robbie. What is that? Broccoli Robbie? What is that? We need to know. Okay, and Lynn and Alicia, thank you very much for posting the hashtag for the homework, #JustAThought. So it's just a thought. So this week I want you to think of a common holiday thought that you have told yourself over the years, or maybe it's a new one that you're told yourself this year, like I can't find an ingredient, or I'm missing something, or I ate more than I had planned, or whatever. But a thought that you thought was true just because you thought it. And then I want you to pull your hands back and realize it's just a thought. It's just a thought. That does not necessarily make it true. And then I want you to share it with us. So I promise you, there is someone who needs to know what your unhelpful thought was, and then how you saw around it. What you found to be true when you pulled your hands back. So I promise there is someone that needs to hear that. We've got so many people that had quit during personal points. So all of last year, I know personally of at least 3 people. Hello, Debbie. I know personally of at least 3 people, and then acquaintances with at least maybe 10 more who spent all of last year saying, I'll never lose weight, I'm a failure, I will never get this right because I hate personal points and it doesn't work for me. And then once they started pulling their hands away, realized, okay, well, maybe I need to, I can figure out how to make it work for me. Okay, maybe I need to find a buddy who wants to be in the same point system as me, and then pull it back a little bit further and realize, hey, you know what? Weight Watchers saw that it was an issue too, with the community. And so they have fixed that. So that is no longer an unhelpful thought and can rejoin. So there are so many people, though, that have rejoined. And I really hope that you all will share with them. I hope that you will share these things. What your unhelpful thought was, when you had your eyes all covered up, and then what you saw, when you pulled your eyes away and realized it's just a thought. It just being a thought doesn't mean it's true. It's #JustAThought. Okay, that's your homework for this week, and I want you to tag me. It is almost time for the second half. If you are watching this live with us tonight on Facebook, I'm getting ready to put on my apron, not to make something, but to give you a warning that we are going to spend about the first 5 or 6 minutes of the second half talking in graphic detail about some kitchen injuries. And then I will give you 2 thumbs ups. For those of you who are squeamish and don't want to hear that part, I'll give you 2 thumbs ups. And I promise there's no pictures, but I might show you my pinky. Maybe, if y'all are willing. But then I'll give you 2 thumbs ups when it is time to come back in the conversation. So I hope those of you who are squeamish or who are uncomfortable, hearing about that, I hope that you will just mute me maybe for, 5 or so minutes. I doubt it'll take 10 minutes. And then I'll give you the 2 thumbs ups when it's time to come back in. If you're watching this later on YouTube, so the live people, this is your warning. Okay. As soon as that apron goes on, I'm going to start talking about it. So this is your only warning to mute me. Or to go do something else for a few minutes, but don't wander off far, because we do need to have our kitchen safety meeting, and the rest of it is not graphic. It's just information. If you're watching on YouTube, this is your moment to hit that little scroll and scroll over to whatever time. And I will have Casey put that in the notes. So when she posts this to YouTube, posts this to YouTube, I'll have her put when the chat starts, and I'll have her put when we stop doing the highs and hellos, because that still irritates some people. And then I will have her put what the timestamp is for when we start talking about body injuries and then stop talking about it, so you know where to pick back up again. Okay, it is time for some water. So Barbara is exactly right. It's time for some water. Everybody get a drink. And again, this is your only warning. So I am putting on my apron, not because we are cooking anything, although I do have some, Debbie, I've got some taco soup going in the can cooker. So this is my first time cooking it in the can cooker. I've made it on top of the stove many times, but I thought I would try the can cooker because it's a little, you know, it's a pressure cooker, just to see how that works in case we need to take that camping soon, you know, just to see if taco soup is an option. Okay, so this is it. This is your last warning. If you are squeamish and don't want to hear about injuries, about kitchen injuries, then you might want to take a break right now. This part will only last maybe 5 or 6 minutes. And then I will give you 2 thumbs ups when we come back to just talk about kitchen safety. But if you're squeamish at all, now's your chance. So now is your only opportunity to mute me. So go ahead. And I noticed that Deanna is not here. I think she's just avoiding it altogether just to be safe. Okay, so this is the second half of chat number 297. We are here in my loft. Some of you remember the campers and the, let's see, what have I already got out? I have my Christmas campers are out, my truck, the Christmas tree, some of my gnomes, some of my Christmas goodies, and that's all the Christmas decorating that I have done so far. We have been decorating at Casey Kitchen Center, but that's all I've gotten done here so far. I am recording this on the Mevo camera. The loft, our building has such thick walls that the Mevo does not like it. So we are doing this up close and personal for the first time in a long time on my phone, on Facebook Live. If you're watching this later on YouTube, I'm sorry I've looked down so much. I apologize. That was just out of habit, out of old habit. But you can watch this later on youtube.com, search at If You Have an Egg, and you should go right to it. So that was it. That was your pre-warning for the second half of chat number 297. We are officially getting ready to talk about safety in the kitchen. So y'all already know, if you've been here for very long, that 3 weeks ago I had an accident in the kitchen, and it was a silly accident. So those of you who don't want to hear about this and don't want to hear the gory details, again, go ahead and mute me or go do something else for a few minutes, and I'll give you 2 thumbs ups when it's time to come back. But 3 weeks ago, I ignored an extensive safety discussion given to me by some very dear friends who let me borrow their mandolin. And I have since also found out that mandolin, the vegetable slicer, is spelled with an E on the end, and mandolin, the instrument, is spelled without an E on the end. So this was the mandolin with the E on the end, a vegetable slicer. They gave me an extensive safety discussion, and they made sure that I had all of the safety equipment, and then it was followed by a 10-minute cross your heart and pinky promise that you'll use them packed. Okay. Well, a careless moment, and a few hours later, I can no longer pinky promise with that hand. So my finger is looking much, much better, but I don't know if you can tell, but it is no longer round. So my pinky, hello, Julie. Okay, Julie. So I already gave the warning about the squeamish part. So if you're squeamish and don't want to hear about bodily injuries, just mute me for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to give 2 thumbs ups when it's okay to come back in. But anyway, I think my pinky is looking fantastic. But if you'll notice, see, like my other pinky, round, not round. So yeah, so that was a silly, unnecessary accident later. My pinky is no longer round. I think it'll fluff back out though. I think we'll be okay. So I wanted to let you know though, I decided we needed to have a safety in the kitchen chat today, just to go over some things, because that was silly. Okay. It was silly on my part. So the kitchen is a dangerous place. We're all in it a lot, but it is a dangerous place, and we need to chat about how to keep you and obviously me safe. And shortly after I announced my accident, I heard from so many of you that I decided that we needed this chat. So I already showed you, I sliced off the side of my pinky, and I was literally a fingernail away from losing the entire end of my finger with that mandolin. Okay. Yeah, Trish said her son, he lost the whole top half of his finger. What was he using a mandolin, or what was he using, Trish? So my pinky, when I went to check this, my fingernail kind of deflected it, and that's why it went down the side of my pinky. Otherwise, where it had started to cut, yeah, okay, Mary did the same thing. Sorry, Mary did the same thing with a meat slicer, and she says it will fatten back out. Okay, awesome. So, but it literally, my fingernail kept it from taking off this part of my finger. My friend Sherry opened a can of soup this week, and she was pushing down on the lid, wound up in the emergency room with 5 stitches in her thumb. Okay. Yeah, just from opening a can of soup. Valerie took off the tip of her pinky not once, but twice with a mandolin. Gail has a couple of odd-shaped fingers thanks to her mandolin. Paula lost her nails, but luckily no fingers, so only nails were lost. And of course, then she had to throw away what she was making after sticking her hand into a Vitamix blender to encourage some kale to go on down. Patricia grated off part of her thumb on her box grater, like on a cheese box grater, so I don't think she has a thumbprint anymore on that hand from where she grated that off. And then our neighbor Jackie here in the lofts went to culinary school, and the day after this happened, when I came home all bandaged up and everything, she regaled John for 30 minutes about missing fingertips, fingertips that are missing, lacerated hands, missing fingerprints, burns, stitches, and more at culinary school, and they're professionals. So trust me, we need this chat, okay? So we definitely needed this chat. Okay, let me take one more drink, and then it's almost time. I promised you I would not take very long on the gory part of it. Okay, so it is 2 thumbs ups time. So for those of you who muted me, or have gone off to do something else, or who did not want to hear about all the gory accidents, or whatever, it's 2 thumbs ups time. So it is safe for you all to come back in. We are done talking about bodily harm. We're done talking about that in our discussion. So it is officially safe for you all to come back in, and we can go we can go on to talking about how to keep yourself safe in the kitchen. So it is okay. Oh my gosh, Anna, I just said it was safe, but Anna, so I'm not gonna say out loud what you just typed, but that was one of the things that I found when I was searching, for topics, for things to talk about, during tonight's chat. Anyway, it is 2 thumbs ups for those of you who muted me and who would like to come back in and join our discussion. And I kept it to 7 minutes, so that's pretty good. I had said 5 to 10. Okay, so I used to lead or help lead all of our OSHA safety training meetings for a small international company, and we did a lot of shipping and receiving using forklifts and things like that. And then I continued that on with mine and John's 2 businesses. And do you know what the top 3 reasons are for injuries? What my top reasons were that I found for people getting injured? These are my top 3, and you may be surprised what they are. Absolute number one reason that I believe that people get injured is complacency. So it doesn't matter how educated you are, if you are becoming complacent about something that you are doing, you can get hurt. So thinking things like, oh, I got this. I do this every day. This is my job. I do this every single day, or I'm too smart to get hurt. Okay, that doesn't fly. So that one don't fly. Okay, impatience. Number 2 is impatience. Being too busy, too rushed, not taking enough time to do it right or safely. I found that to be the number 2 reason that people get injured. And then number 3 is not using your tools. So most things come with warning labels, and some of the warning labels we laugh and think that they are ridiculous, but they are there for a reason because someone needed them. So using our tools like warning labels, safety equipment, some things come with safety equipment instructions, but do we read them or use them? No. So yeah. So no. Those are my top three reasons that I found that people get injured. So here are some safety warnings and tips that I found without even looking very hard. obviously all of the safety training that I did in a past life all had to do with forklifts and chemicals and slips and falls and, motorized equipment, things like that. But those are the top three things that I found, top three reasons I found, that people were getting, were getting injured. Yeah, and Anita says, I'm always rushing to get dinner done, so she has to make herself slow down. That's exactly right. So these are the safety tips that I found without even looking really hard. So let's avoid my top three and take just a few minutes to chat about this, okay? So safety tip number one that I found was, and it makes sense now that I see it, a dull knife is more dangerous than a sharp one. So I believe, oh my goodness, hold on. Kathy says impatience and not putting away extension cords, tripping on it and falling. Yeah, that would be bad. That would be bad, Kathy. But so the number one thing I found was people using dull knives either improperly or not having respect for them because, they're dull and you think, oh, they're not going to cut me. So if your knife is dull, you tend to apply more pressure. And I know in my case, if the knife is dull, I am so guilty of this, of holding whatever it is in my hand, like an avocado or something like that, holding it in my hand and cutting it because I think, oh, this knife is so dull. Very, very highly likely, reason or way to get injured is using a dull knife rather than a sharp one. So I think a sharp knife, we have a little bit, I'm not saying you can't cut yourself with a sharp knife, but I think we have a little more respect for it just because it's super sharp. But yeah, dull one, been there, done that. My goodness, Loretta says her electric knife was smoking and she will never use one again. Smoking? Like it was going to catch on fire? Is that what you're saying? Because that's terrifying. Okay, safety tip number two. So with items like mandolins becoming more popular in the home kitchen, the New York Times reports that a mandolin slicer, immersion blenders, meat grinders, and food processors are just a few of the gadgets that are causing more frequent trips to the emergency room for people who rush things in the kitchen or who don't know how to handle the devices properly. On the If You Have an Egg blog, the one that you can print out, Jessica is going to post the link to that New York Times article. It was really good. I do suggest that you go back and read it because it had a lot of good information. But safety tip number two was all over this complacency. It's my kitchen. I'm not intentionally being complacent, but I'm complacent. I'm in my kitchen every day. How could I get hurt? Impatience, trying to hurry through the process. That's what happened to me. I was trying to hurry and figure out how to use this thing without using all the safety equipment and not using your tools. So getting new tools and not understanding how to use them, not reading the instructions, things like that. So that's number two, is newer, more frequently in your home tools, like mandolins, immersion blenders, meat grinders, and food processors. That has jumped to the top of the emergency, room list. And I actually looked up I think it was top 6 reasons, maybe it was top 8 reasons people go to the emergency room. And number 5 was a heart attack. Number 6 was a mandolin slicer. So just saying. Okay, safety tip number 3. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Literally. Some top ways that injury from heat can be avoided, and I just saw a couple of steam burns, things like that. One is to turn pot and pan handles away from the front of the stove, so that way little ones and you can't get burned by accidentally turning over something that is, boiling or something that's really hot. So this is an example. This handle is still pretty hot. So it is turned away. It is turned away from the front of the stove. If I had this like that, I would be much more likely to hit that and flip it over on myself. And if I had little ones here, if they reached up, you notice I had to put on a mitt to touch that. The handle is still so hot that if I had it turned around and they reached up, that would be a burned hand for sure. So turning the pot and pan handles away from the front of the stove, so that you and little ones don't accidentally turn over a boiling pot or touch a hot handle. Making sure that your air fryer or other heated gadgets have all of their parts, especially the locking devices, to keep them from coming apart when pulling out hot food. So in the air fryer, mine has a little button right here. My newer one, and I know you can't see this, but Mine has a little button right here that separates the tray, the pan, from the bottom. My newer one, that button is red, and it has a little plastic shield over the top of it. I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally hit that button, and when you hit it, whatever the hot stuff is, if there's anything hot in the bottom, falls and could splatter. So the newer version of that, and I'm sure whatever brand you have, the newer versions probably had this too, but make sure that they have all of their parts, especially those locking devices, to help keep you safe so that pieces and parts don't fall apart when you're pulling out boiling things, hot things, whatever, so that they don't come apart. Oh no, Barbara burned her hand taking food out. Oh, and her pot holder, her oven mitt fell off. Yikes. Okay. Okay, let's see. Knowing how and having on hand something to put out even a small kitchen fire. I watched a firebomb go off in a small employee kitchen one time because they were burning popcorn. So they had put oil, obviously oil and corn kernels in a pan, and it got away from them and it made a little fire. And instead of just putting the lid back on and putting this fire out, they threw water on it. And I don't know if you know this or not, but you need to know this. Oil and water don't mix. And literally went from a little bit of burning popcorn kernels to it went whoosh, and like it scorched the ceiling of the little kitchen that they were in. My brother says that's the exact same thing that happens if you use one of those turkey fryer things, where you put the entire turkey in there. He said if it's frozen, if the turkey's still frozen, those ice crystals that are in the turkey, that can cause that explosion. Or if it's wet, that can cause the explosion. Debbie says remember to open the Instant Pot with the lid away from you so that the steam does not come up directly in your face. Okay, also, everyone thinks of hot grease, boiling water, hot handles, oven mitts falling off when you're trying to reach into the oven. People think of that as the only way to burn yourself in the kitchen. But I tell people this all the time. Oh, that's good, Trish. I'll check that out. Trish says Chef Gregory Zaxrian, I'm not saying that correctly, from the kitchen sells very safe vegetable cutters on QVC. I'll have to check that out. But I just reminded a friend of this week, and she did not follow my advice, but luckily she was okay. So everybody's thinking of hot grease, hot water, steam, reaching in, getting things out of the oven, when they're still hot handles, things like that. But hot peppers or capsaicin, those burns can be just as painful or irritating. So the best practices, if you're going to cut jalapenos, ghost peppers for sure, depending on the heat elevation, even poblanos, those are pretty mild, but still some people's skin is irritated with that. But the best practice is to wear gloves when you're cutting them, wash the area thoroughly when you're done. So don't leave any of that, I'm not going to say it correctly, capsaicin juice. Don't leave any of that hot pepper juice or the seeds in your work area. And above all else, do not touch your eyes or your nose. So don't touch, if you got it on your hands, even if you have the gloves on, then don't reach up, and touch your eyes or your face. Don't touch your child's eyes or their face, and don't touch your dog or cat's eyes or their face. Okay. So that's safety tip number 3. That's another way to keep from burning yourself, because people don't think about that, with hot peppers. So this friend, she was gifted a hot pepper, a jalapeno from one of her students, and she didn't think about it. She just started cutting into it. Carol Lou, exactly right. Don't go to the bathroom either. So if you've been cutting hot peppers, if you've been cutting something hot like that, wash your hands or take off those gloves before you go to the bathroom. That's exactly right. So yeah, we won't go into more graphic detail than that, but Carol she's exactly right. Okay. Some kitchen tools just don't seem dangerous, right? Some of them you think, oh, that's innocuous. That's so not dangerous. And that's nothing to worry about. But every year, emergency rooms and urgent care clinics see injuries from such simple things as a cheese grater. Just a simple cheese grater. And I did not have one here at home to show you, but, just a cheese grater, I won't go into graphic detail, but you can just imagine, grating cheese, grating vegetables, shredding zucchini, something like that. Box graters. Even a citrus zester. That I am just barely touching this, and I can feel that. I mean, that would shred your skin if you got on there, you know, if you were going to town on that. So citrus zesters, box graters, citrus zesters, they don't seem dangerous, but they can be. Kebab skewers, so like those long metal shish kebab skewers, apparently those things can be, I don't want to get anybody upset who I said it was okay to come back in. Not good. So never hold, that's all I'm going to say. Never hold what you're skewering like this. Maybe set it down, run it through like that. Just be extra careful with it. Believe it or not, under pressure whipped cream dispensers, I don't even know what that is. Does anybody have an under pressure whipped cream dispenser? Like, is that something that you can buy? So apparently, I don't know, apparently you can buy those now and make your own whipped cream, and it's under pressure somehow. Apparently there have been many visits to the ER this year, maybe it was last year, whatever, recently, for under pressure whipped cream dispensers. Don't even know what happens, but yeah, apparently that's a thing. Hand blenders. So, you know, a hand blender or a hand mixer, you know, that doesn't seem dangerous. Look how little those are. But can you imagine if you were mixing something, you know, in a hand blender and, you know, stuck your hand in there or something? I can tell you from personal experience, an apple corer. So apple corers, I don't hold the apple in my hand. I use these all the time. I always set the apple down and I stick it in this way and go down and I let it hit my countertop or my cutting board or something else. That is a sharp, sharp little serrated blade right there. So an apple corer doesn't seem dangerous, but these puppies, you know, they kind of are. And the last, in safety tip number 4, the last doesn't seem dangerous thing that you could use in the kitchen is bare feet. Yes, I said it, bare feet. That is one of the most dangerous things that you can use in the kitchen is bare feet, because think about it. If you spill a little water, slip and fall. If you drop something from the top of the stove, onto your bare feet. If you drop something heavy, if you drop a jar, my mom broke her toe one time with just a can. She was just moving a can from just a can of vegetables or something from one spot to the other. Dropped it on her toe, broke her toe. So bare feet, that is one of the, seems like it's safe, you know, things to do. Not safe at all. Okay, and safety tip number 5. Improper use of, or just flat out not using the safety equipment that came with the tool, or using the brains that God gave you, is a recipe for disaster before you can even get the meal to the table, okay? I am preaching to myself before any of you get your panties in a wad, all right? So I don't want you to think I'm belittling you or saying that you're not using the brains that God gave you, but I obviously did not. Yeah, and Carol Lou says cross-contamination is another safety hazard. Oh, that was a whole long journey that I could have taken us on tonight. But we only had the 1 hour. But I am talking to myself too, because because I didn't use the brains that God gave me, even after my friends who love me very much had a long discussion with me. Okay, so things like oven mitts. You saw me use oven mitt, pot holder, things like that for moving hot things. This is hot. This is still very hot. This has been cooling off for a little while now, but this is still very hot. So things like oven mitts, use them. Those little silicone things that you stick your hand in. Oh, Sandra's the barefoot queen. And see, okay, like Debbie has had to tiptoe out of the kitchen several times around broken glass to go get her shoes to clean it up. Lacerations on bare feet was another big one for going to the emergency room. Okay, veggie and fruit holders. So some of the appliances that I just talked about, like the mandolin, came with these little holders. That, see those little things that poked out? You stick that into the vegetable or fruit, whatever it is that you're slicing, and you put that in there, and that holds it. And look how far away my fingers are. Look how far away my fingers would have been from the mandolin, you know, slicing, had I used this little thing. There's also one of these that works in the spiralizer to hold the vegetables so that you don't spiralize the tips of your fingers. yeah, so veggie or fruit holders, use them. They come with it. They all come with it, so use them. For your blender or your Vitamix, this poker thing, what is this called? So this came with my mom's Vitamix mixer, her Vitamix blender, and it says, all it says is caution, cover must be in place, but you use this to cram things down in there instead of your fingertips, like, who is it that used their fingertips? Anyway, it's back in my notes. But what is this thing even called? But this came with her Vitamix blender, and you use this to gently push things down in there to get them down to where the blades are. So things like this, not your hands, okay? Your hands are not for this. Even, I'm going to even say metal forks and spoons, even, I mean, wooden ones. If you got a wooden one stuck in there, you're just going to end up with splinters in your food. So, use the tools that came with them. Cut-resistant gloves. Okay, these are the gloves that came with the mandolin slicer that I was instructed on. These are the gloves that have never been on a hand. Notice that the tag is still on there. So a tamper, is that what that's called, Marlene? So this is, maybe Marlene says maybe this is called a tamper. Maybe. Use it. Whatever it's called. The sticker thing. Use it. Sandra says maybe a plunger. But these are the gloves that came with the mandolin. Yeah, Kathy says it's a poker thing. But these are the gloves that came with the mandolin. These are cut-resistant gloves. So these are similar to gloves that like a fishmonger would wear. Now theirs is a little bit more like chainmail, but this would have really, really come in handy the day that I was using the mandolin had I been using them. So between this and this, keeping my fingers off of that, I would have been able to enjoy the ratatouille, which I ended up throwing away because I did not make it back to it for like over a week. So things like that, cut-resistant gloves. Also, things like instruction manuals. So if you notice, this instruction manual for the mandolin slicer has a picture of the gloves. It has a picture of the thing that holds the vegetables. It also talks about that in the instructions, talks about all the little safety things. So instruction manuals, that's another great thing to use. That's another great tool to use before you ever break into this. And then the last thing I want to talk about is plugs. So I used to teach a thing called lockout tag out when I was teaching people how to use equipment, repair equipment, use equipment, things like that. And lockout tag out simply means that on some pieces of equipment, and we're talking about kitchen equipment here, that they could not be worked on. You could not disassemble them. You could not take them apart. You couldn't do anything to them until someone had locked it out, had locked out the power. And, oh yeah, and Phyllis has a crazy fear of her garbage disposal. That's not crazy. You should be afraid of it. But until somebody had locked out the power and that there was a tag hanging on it that the power had been locked out. So before you wash anything that has a blade and power, so like a food processor or a mixer or a blender or an immersion blender, like this. So this is an immersion blender. Before you use something like that, these people are really tempted to go ahead and leave them plugged up and then turn them on and to try and clean them. Those are spinning blades right there. So before you wash anything that has a blade, and I consider these to be blades, and is attached to power, think about the immersion blender. Think about a blender, a regular blender, a stand mixer, whatever. Unplug it before you wash it, okay? It's just easy. It's easy. Unplug it. So, yeah, before you go ahead and wash it. So that's it for tonight. I hope that those of you who have been wandering around in bare feet will have your shoes on from now on. I hope that you all will unplug your appliances before you wash them. I hope you found something helpful in this. I will for sure, before I try the mandolin slicer again next time, be using the veggie holder and the gloves. I'll be using both of these. Don't want any more injuries like that, but I hope you all had a great chat. I'm going to go over here and try this taco soup. I'm going to carefully open it away from my face so that the steam does not get me more of my kitchen safety. I'll be using my oven mitt and my glove to go ahead and get it open. So we'll be safe. And I have on my shoes in case I knock it over. But I hope you all enjoyed this chat. We are recording on the Mevo camera just in case this doesn't work for YouTube, but it's just youtube.com. Then search for If You Have an Egg. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please let that next video go ahead and roll over. And I hope you will subscribe and click that little bell so that you'll know when our next video comes out. But you all have a great evening. I've enjoyed it as always, and I'm looking forward to next week making something yummy for you. So good night, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Good night.